Welcome to Extension Connection on Super Talk 1270. Thoughtful information and discussion with experts from both Burleigh and Morton County Extension Service offices. Extension Connection provides advice on family nutrition, issues in agriculture, lawn and garden, community leadership, flood recovery, homeowner concerns, and so much more. Live from the Super Talk 1270 News Studio, this is Extension Connection.
Good morning and welcome to the Extension Connection. I'm Peggy Netzer here with Tom Kolb, our horticulture specialist.
Morning, Peggy.
Good morning. And Kelsey Sheldon, our intern this summer, who's been doing a lot of horticulture stuff. So we brought her along. So it's that time of year where everybody who's been in their garden all summer is excited because their food is finally ready.
That's right. Everything's starting to ripen now. And how about the tomatoes? Have you picked any tomatoes yet?
Kelsey picked some this week. I know that.
Was it successful?
Yep. You know, this is actually the first week that there's been some actually able to probably eat and don't look so unhealthy.
Oh, really? So there's a lot of things that happen with the first flush of tomatoes. We get the classic blossom end rot.
Every year we have to talk about this.
That's right.
Every year it's a problem.
You know what? Because that's just the way it is.
Because we live in North Dakota and the water's not consistent, right?
Actually, you are right. And here in Bismarck, Mandan, it's been a fairly dry summer. It hasn't been like really droughty, but we've only got about 2/3 the rain that we normally get. So usually we get about 12 inches of rain by now, but we've only had about 9 or so inches of rain. So it's dry, and your blossom end rot. What's the deal with blossom end rot? We see it on the first flush of the fruits, and you see like a hard blackish brown spot on the bottom of the fruit. And
it's gross.
It's just natural.
It looks gross. Nobody wants to eat it.
It is edible, but yes, no, really best not to eat it. And it's caused by the collapse of the tomato cells because they don't have enough calcium, the building blocks of the tomato fruit. But the calcium is probably in the soil.
But why isn't it in the tomatoes?
That's a great question.
It's not sucking it out right.
It's not getting it. The roots are not getting enough of it. And so that's caused by a couple things. One is you mentioned the water. If there's not adequate moisture in the soil, the calcium cannot flow as readily or be as available to the roots. And also, a lot of times, people are a little bit aggressive there with that hoe, and you can be damaging those tender tomato roots, which are right near the surface. So don't be so aggressive. But now in the long run, the tomato vine really responds to heat, and it's really pushing out a lot of growth, a lot of root growth, and it will find the calcium that it needs for the subsequent fruits. So you
just have to be patient.
Yeah, I just think it's just
people aren't patient with tomatoes,
it's just the way
especially.
It is. Just accept it. It's a first flush of fruits. This is just the way it is.
The problem is, Tom, tomatoes taste so much better when they're grown in your yard than in the store. So people get anxious for them. Okay, so what are we going to do about it? So we can try to prevent this problem. Learn, Peggy, this year. Watering.
Learn. Consistent watering. Also, mulching is a beautiful thing. Have you thought about that? Mulching conserves moisture in the soil.
Yeah. And I'm big on mulching, you know that.
There you go. So that will all help, but also, you just have to be, just deal with it, Or
you just know that your first round of tomatoes are going to the rabbits.
Look for them, even like if you can, like inspect your plants while you're out there. And if you see that, even when the tomatoes are green, they'll start showing that rot. Just pick them off. Pick off those rotted fruits. If you know you're not going to eat them, pick them off. And again, the subsequent flush of fruits usually handles it. There's not really a spray we want to be messing around with. You can spray with calcium, but it's calcium doesn't really move. If you spray the leaves of your plant, it doesn't really move into the fruits that readily. The calcium doesn't. You could spray the fruits, but tomato fruits kind of have a waxy coating on them, so they don't really absorb that readily. So it's
a waste of money.
Yeah, just kind of, and also just calm down on the spraying and just go ahead, give the plants some water, and in the long run, they'll be fine. But now in watering, don't water at night. That's another big problem.
Yeah, I didn't even know that people watered at night. I grew up, we had a big old garden, and every morning we had to go and turn on the sprinklers. really early.
In the morning?
Yeah, in the morning.
Well, obviously, you came from a very wise family. And I don't know if it rubbed off on you genetically or not, but they got you on the right track there because, watering in the morning's the best time because the sun's up, the plants are active, they'll suck up the water they need, but we have the whole day then for the leaves to dry off before the nighttime. You cannot have wet leaves at night because that's when the disease is, and we see that on the tomato blights. It starts on the lower portion of the vines, and one of the most common causes is the leaves are wet at night. And so avoid that. Never water at night. But a lot of people do it because, you're
That's
off.
When you got time.
Yeah, you're off from work. You just want to unwind a little. You had to turn on the garden hose, one hand, put a beer in the other hand, and just go out there and do some watering. Nice.
Gets you out of the house.
Just
wait from your wife for a couple minutes.
That's right. Just kind of play with the dog, water the tomatoes. Life's good for a while there.
Then your tomatoes get rotten.
And your tomatoes hate you for it. But so water in the morning if you can. That's the best.
Probably without the beer in your hand, though.
That's right. Okay. What else? Okay, here's another thing that's going on with tomatoes. That's kind of hot. And Kelsey, maybe you can chime in on what you're getting on the phones. But, we did get quite a bit of rain over the weekend. And
we're about to get more, it seems like.
Are we?
Looks kind of rainy outside.
It's coming.
Yeah.
So, when our tomatoes are kind of forming, when our tomato fruits are forming, just kind of finishing off the job, and then all of a sudden we get a big rainfall, then that water fills in too quickly to the fruits, and the fruits crack, just like a balloon that bursts. So, especially on cherry tomatoes, this happens a lot with cherry tomatoes. So, nothing you can do, there's not much you can do about it. Again, mulching, try to keep the soil uniformly moist as much as possible. But these are just some of the challenges we face with gardening. Huh?
What about all the little black specks on tomatoes?
The black specks? What's going on, man?
What are they?
On the fruits?
A lot of people, yep. Those usually are on the first ones too, right?
Okay, black specks. If they're actually specks on a tomato fruit, and usually they can be raised specks. Actually, there is a bacteria called bacterial speck that can impact our tomatoes. Bacteria is a different kind of animal, though, as compared to a fungus. It's a little harder to control. For bacteria, we're kind of limited to just using copper sprays. And then the thing about bacteria's got to have wetness to penetrate, and it's got to have a wound to penetrate into a plant. It can't dig into a tomato fruit. It's got to go into a wound that's already there. So avoid wounding your tomato vines and fruit. So that means is when it's raining or your leaves are wet, just stay out of the garden. Let it all, just calm down. Just let it all dry, and then go into the garden. And also, again, with that hoe, I know, Jim, you're like that. You're very vicious out there with the hoe. Got to just calm down and don't wound the vine.
Quit chopping things up.
Bacteria can come in that way, but yeah.
All right.
A lot of problems with tomatoes.
There are. We're going to take a quick break, and we'll talk about some other vegetables when we get back.
Right now, 75.
Get the traffic and weather information you need anytime on Super Talk 1270 and online at supertalk1270.com.
Good morning and welcome back to the Extension Connection. I'm Peggy Netzer here with Tom Kolb. I was going to say call him.
Yeah.
Call Tom.
What's the phone number? What's the phone number?
663-1270 if anyone has any questions. We're talking about, right now, we just finished talking about tomatoes and garden problems. We also brought Kelsey Sheldon, our intern, with us. And Kelsey has been fielding a lot of questions from our community gardeners and people who just walk in and people who call. So you've been pretty busy.
I have been.
What have been some of the, other than tomatoes, which we already covered, what have been some of the common questions?
A lot of people are noticing like a grayish white powder on cucumbers and squash. It appears on their leaves. Doesn't look too good. It is actually what is called powdery mildew. And again, kind of the cool, moist spring has played in a factor, but also people who aren't watering at the base of the plant. And
just like the tomato problem.
Yeah, what are they doing?
Everybody's watering wrong.
So how are they watering wrong, Kelsey? What's going on?
It's getting wet on the foliage.
Okay.
Again.
Instead of underneath, right?
Instead of underneath, yeah. And again, like with squash and cucumbers, that's a little tougher since they grow along the ground. Not always the easiest to do.
So if they have this white stuff already, what can they do? Just ignore it? Like the tomato problems? Leave it alone for a while and see what happens?
Really?
I don't know. Some stuff you do that for, right?
Yeah, just forget about it, huh? We're going to get a frost in 2 weeks anyhow.
Just wait. Yeah. Then no more problems for anybody.
Everything's dead.
So what do they do, Kelsey, if they want to get rid of this stuff?
There's actually a couple fungicides out there that you can apply. You can use like a chlorothalonil or mancozeb or some sort of copper on it. All right. That'll be like a spray.
Nobody's ever going to remember those names. So
the good news is chlorothalonil is everywhere. Okay?
Yeah.
Like Daconil, Orthos, almost the common fungicides at a garden center are chlorothalonil.
Yeah, so you can just walk in and say, I need a fungicide.
I need a garden fungicide.
And somebody will help you find that one.
Make sure it's for an edible crop, a vegetable. That's the one thing you got to be careful.
That's a big deal,
about.
yeah.
Of course.
You don't want to grow all this and then put the wrong thing on there.
Yeah.
There goes all your work.
If you're in the organic section, then the fungicide will naturally have a copper compound to it. So that's the organic route. And that mancozeb that Kelsey mentioned, that's another good one. And dithane, and what's that? Dithane is the common one for mancozeb. That works good on powdery mildew. And the other thing, also in the future, you can every year is a learning experience. Make sure you give your plants enough space because we often see powdery mildew. You can see powdery mildew everywhere. That grayish powder is on like lilacs and shrubs. You got to give everything as much sunlight, as much air movement as possible. That can all help reduce these problems. But yeah, that's a problem.
It is a big problem, especially community gardens.
Yeah, exactly. Because everything's compacted there. Because
they gotta keep it
limited.
Squished in.
And also, you don't want to really be spraying in a community garden so much.
No.
So that's
your neighbors don't like that.
So look for disease-resistant varieties in those kind of situations that can help. And a lot of the more modern hybrids are more likely to have resistance to powdery mildew. So, yeah, that's very common out there. Sometimes you just kind of like we were just talking with Peggy there. Sometimes you just kind of got to give it up though. If it's like because these fungicides we're talking about, they can't cure the problem.
Just a preventative.
Exactly, Kelsey.
So if you're in the community garden and your neighbor has it, get some fungicide.
And also, like Kelsey says, make sure you water properly. Just do what you can to minimize the conditions that favor that. And
give it some
fungus.
air. All right, what else are you hearing, Kelsey?
People are getting ready to harvest potatoes and are noticing kind of cherry-like, what we call potato berries on top of the plant.
Above the ground.
Cool.
Above the ground. Yeah.
Ah, I've never seen anything like that.
Oh, yeah, it happens.
You need to come up to the community garden. I'll take you up there. Maybe
we'll give you a tour.
I'll go today.
Before
Maybe
the baby comes.
The baby come.
We'll go for a little walk.
We're going to hike the hill.
But don't eat them.
Potato berries, huh?
Right.
Don't eat them.
They're toxic.
Ah.
Very toxic. And you don't want to keep the seed out of them either. So either ignore them or just discard them.
Can birds eat them? Or rabbits? Do animals eat them or would they die? Well, I don't want to find a bunch of dead rabbits up there or anything.
Why not? Rabbits are the enemy of a gardener. I'm sorry.
It would smell bad.
Sorry, rabbits are evil.
Rabbits are not
a
gardener's friend. You're right.
They are our enemy.
You're right.
If we can't put a fence up, but
yeah,
a lot of times wildlife is kind of smart. They take a nibble on it, they get a tummy ache, and they go, "I don't think I'm going to go there.
More of those.
I think I'll hop on over to the carrots."
Yeah, beet greens, yum.
Yeah, stay away from the Swiss chard, though.
You and your chard. So the potato berries, why do they grow there? I've grown potatoes and never seen them.
It's just natural. Plant produces it natural. It's like sending seed up. It's reproduction.
Weird.
Yeah. Do you see? Yeah, exactly.
Weird.
Have you seen potato flowers?
Yes.
Okay. Well, what happens?
Flowers lead to berries.
You
Makes
got
perfect
it.
sense. I just don't leave them in long enough to berry up, right?
Yeah, and a lot of times, well, Actually, we've been seeing quite a few potato berries the last couple of years. And I think, one of the reasons could be that Yukon Gold is a very popular variety nowadays. And that really is a strong flower producer. So that it could just be the type of varieties that we're growing now are more likely to lead those potato berries. But they have that green, solanine chemical in them. And so just like you don't eat green potatoes,
right.
you're not going to stay away from those green berries. Yeah, same with those green berries. Just pick them off. You got little kids. Always a good idea to teach your little kids. Don't be messing around with anything strange. And there's all kinds of fruits are out there now, and some of them are toxic. If you don't know exactly what it is, just leave it alone. Just leave it alone. Good advice. What else going on, Kelsey? What else? Other stuff?
As far as up in the gardens, not too much. Just a lot of harvesting.
A lot of harvesting. And we did something new at our office this year, and Kelsey's been very busy with this. We have a scale in our office now, and we are weighing produce for the Hunger-Free North Dakota Garden Project. So tell us what you've been doing.
Well, anybody can bring in extra produce they have and everything like that they would like to donate. So what you would do is you'd bring it in, we'll get it weighed, we'll write you up a slip with how much of each produce you have, and then you can take it around the community and donate it.
Yeah, and there are about 15 sites to donate between Bismarck and Mandan. All of our food pantries, homeless shelters, those kinds of things. So people are pretty aware, I think, of what those are. But if not, it's on our website, which is pretty easy to find. You just Google Burleigh County Extension if you don't already know it, because it's really long if I try to say it. Yeah, so they just bring it in and weigh the produce, and then it gets donated. And the goal of that is to see how much home gardeners are donating to the food pantries each summer. And it's been a lot. This is the 4th year, you think, Tom? 5th year?
5th year anniversary this year.
Yeah, and one thing, our Master Gardener program added a little piece for this.
Yep, it's one of the areas of emphasis.
Yeah.
Yep. So people come to the office with it, and then we take it from there.
No, we weigh it.
We just weigh it for them.
We weigh it, write them up a ticket, and then they can choose one of the sites. Yep.
Because sometimes one thing we were hearing is that people would go to the site to donate, and there wouldn't be anyone there that knew about the scale or knew where the log was and that kind of thing. And so in order to better measure how much people are actually producing and giving, we're trying this out.
Okay, how about I just be like devil's advocate? Why don't I just go to the food pantry
and drop it off?
Drop it off
You
myself.
could. You totally could.
Why do I have to go to Extension first to weigh it?
One reason would be if you want to know how much you're giving, how much your garden is producing. That would be one reason. Another reason is if you are a master gardener,
that's right,
and you want to get credit for it, you need to know exactly how many pounds you're donating because your hours are based on the pounds. So. And
you mentioned, I don't want to get off sidetrack here too much, but you mentioned Master Gardeners, and Master Gardener training is being offered this fall.
Yep.
And so if you're interested in taking that training, again, you can go to the Burleigh County Extension website and find out about the course and how to sign up. I think we still have about 2 more weeks to sign up for this fall's training. It's on Friday mornings, just like in the past. So if you're interested in becoming a Master Gardener, then now's the time to get going on it. And so check that out. It's an extended program. It's like, 10 Friday mornings. It's a very intensive training. There's a fee of $150 for it, but that's just for the material. So that just gives you an idea of all the amazing amount of information that is provided in education for you. You hear all the best specialists from NDSU and Fargo give you the best information.
Tom Cobb.
Yeah, they let me in sometimes if I'm nice, just to amuse me.
The guys in Fargo and Tom.
Yeah, maybe they're desperate, so whatever. They let me in once, but anyhow.
So people can sign up for Master Gardener.
Yep, that's good.
Through our office.
And all right. That Hunger-Free program's great. They'll take anything. They'll take zucchini.
They will.
They'll take anything, just a little bit. You don't have to bring a bushel. You can just bring a small amount. And they are very appreciative of it. And poor people need it.
Yep.
And so let's help to nourish as healthy population as we can here in our state.
Get them to eat their vegetables.
Yeah, it's so important. All kids, even our own.
Yep.
All right, feed them those vegetables.
And Jim.
That's right.
All right, we're going to take another quick break, and we'll be back.
Right now, 75.
Get the app called Radio Pup for your iPhone and take us everywhere you go. Bismarck and Mandan's own Super Talk 1270.
Good morning and welcome back to the Extension Connection. I'm Peggy Netzer here with Tom Kolb, our horticulture specialist, and Kelsey Sheldon, our intern this summer, who's been doing a lot of horticulture calls and such. If anyone has a question for either of them, give us a call, 663-1270. And when we left, we were talking about garden stuff.
Yeah.
We've talked about all the diseases and stuff that go in gardens. Yeah, all the problems. So, other part of trouble in the garden is bugs.
That's right.
And rabbits and such.
That's right. The enemies. And there is an emerging enemy on the horizon. We're just starting to see here.
Exciting.
Yeah, we're seeing a lot. We're seeing the very beginning of our fall wasp problems right now. And hornets, that includes hornets and yellow jackets. And the issue with that is, this all...
They're mean.
They are mean. They are. It's not
That's
like,
the issue.
It's not.
They're
it's not.
mean.
It's not like they're just misunderstood.
No, they're really mean.
No, they are. They are aggressive, and that's because it's a world of survival out there, Peggy. Because what happens?
They're just trying to get by.
They're trying to get by, and their days are numbered, unfortunately. Their populations are soaring now in the nest. They started off just one pregnant queen in May, started a brand new population. In May. It all started in May. Just one
When
queen.
do they die off? When it freezes?
As soon as we get that hard frost in the first week of October.
Goodbye, wasps.
Oh, except for the queen.
Oh.
She's smart. She knows. She knows what's going on. She goes, I'm going for shelter. See you, boys. I'm out of here. And the boys is up there.
She abandons them.
That's right. The boys are up there in the nest going, hey, where is she? Huddle up a little bit. Kind of cold in here. Sweater. That's right.
So the wasps.
Exactly. So the key for if you're getting some aggressive activity, it's not likely a bee. Bees are not aggressive.
Bees are nice.
Yeah.
They just want to pollinate things.
That's right.
Wasps do not. They just want to sting you.
There's a lot of truth in that. Because the wasp, their populations are soaring, but their food supply, their natural food supply is declining. And they do get more aggressive. They do get more aggressive at night. And so... Or no, they get more aggressive during the fall. So what happens now is that if you got a wasp issue, the sooner you take care of it, the better, because their populations just keep growing exponentially until that hard frost comes. Nice. So you got to identify the nest.
So Jim told us that in Vietnam this week, 2 people were stung to death because their boat hit a wasp nest. Hornets.
Okay.
That's
See,
scary.
you're just really freaking me out totally because I saw that nosed Hanoi Vietnam mother and daughter, and I thought
you're like, my wife?
That's my family, because that's where my family's from. Okay.
Yeah.
Let's just calm down on that.
Phew.
I don't want to talk about that.
Yeah. So they're mean.
Okay.
How do we get rid of them?
Yeah. Do we got to yell? Okay. First of all, what is it? Well, know your enemy.
Yeah.
You got to find the nest. Okay. If it's a ground nest, like you were just talking, like there's a ground.
I had one under my apple tree.
Under an apple tree. That's a ground nest. That's probably a yellow jacket.
Yep.
Okay.
It was.
So it's in the wasp are inside the dirt. So somehow we got to get the insecticide into the dirt. First of all,
turkey baster.
That's the okay. You got it. That's
what we did.
That's our ultimate weapon. That's right. Okay. First of all. Okay, you just skipped chapters 1, 2, and 3.
Sorry.
You went to the climax there.
Sorry.
Okay.
Let's back it up.
Chapter 1. Find the nest. Okay, and they're active.
That's pretty easy to do.
Well,
really.
they're active during the day. They're in and out, and there could be thousands.
And if you mow your yard, they'll find you and show you where their nest
Mow
is.
your yard and run.
You could ask my husband about this. They'll find you.
Okay, so we found our enemy. Now, we got to get it when it's not expecting it. And so Sneak attack. So the time is at night. So, and also know where the nest is and don't alert them. Don't put a flashlight. Say, hey, come on, Peggy, look at this nest out here. You look at it. Wow, look how cool it is. You're shining the light on it hard.
You don't want to wake them up first.
Don't wake them up because there's a few guards out there. But we're going to go out there deliberately, and we're going to go out there with a weapon, and we're going to pick a cold night. They don't like the cold weather. So a night in the 50s is the way to go. So it's dark, it's cold, we're going after the nest. Now, usually with a ground nest, we use 7 or carbaryl.
That's what I use.
Okay, now you can just, if you're not so courageous, it's understandable. You can just sprinkle it on and then just run. And then wait to see the next day if the 7 got into the nest and got to the queen, because we got to get the queen, otherwise you'll just keep pushing out more wasps. Okay, now, and again, if you 7, you got to run. It doesn't kill right away. It doesn't kill on contact.
No, you got to shoot and hit the road.
That's right.
Get back inside as fast as you can.
And then, that's right. Then the next day you check it out there and you see if they're still active, then we got to get the chemical into the nest. And that's when that turkey baster is a good way to go after.
We just went straight to the baster.
You didn't mess around. You go right to it. Okay, no mess around. So you put some 7 in that turkey baster and you shoot that into the hole.
We didn't have time to wait for a cold night, Oh, man. This was July. It wasn't going to be 50 degrees.
Okay, and you got it when it was still young. Yep. That's the way to go. So that's the way to handle a ground nest. Now, the hornets, they have nests up in the tree. Kind of look like a paper mache, kind of like a football size. Actually, quite beautiful. Big. Well, yeah, they start small. They just keep getting bigger and bigger and bigger. Now,
gotta make room for all their babies.
That's right. You got it. And so, again, a hornet nest can be in the thousands by the end of the year. And so what we want to do is that, in that case, we have the option to use the spray that can shoot 20 feet, the knockdown sprays you get out of aerosol cans. That's the way to go after them. The hole is at the bottom of the nest. You scout it out ahead of time. You say, okay, this is the nest. There's the hole. You wait till the cold night comes if you can, and then you get out there with that knockdown sprayer and you just spray it right into that hole.
And run for cover.
Yeah, but fortunately, it's a knockdown killer, so they should die immediately. They'll just drop if they get into contact with it. But yeah, you're right. Of course, you're not going to be.
Don't stand
It's no time to stand there and say, hooray, look at all I killed.
Look what I did.
Don't do that, because they'll get the last laugh. And again, the same story is we got it, then you just wait to see the next day, how's it going? Are they still using it or not? But chances are you got it. And then you can just leave that nest there alone, because
winter will take care of it.
Winter is just going to decompose it. The queen will start a brand new nest every year from scratch. She'll never use that. No queen will ever move into that old hornet nest again. So you can knock it down.
It's like decorations for your yard.
Or makes a great project for show and tell. It's a wonderful project for that. So there you go. But again, all the wasps will die from a hard frost, except for that smart queen. She is elusive. She will abandon the nest and go for shelter right before the hard frost comes. So that's a big thing going on. Another thing I'm seeing right now are webworms in trees. Ugh. You see, like on choke cherries, you see these little worm nests there.
Those are so gross.
But they're gross. Okay, but they're not mean and nasty. They're just eating some leaves, so you can cope with them. They're not going to come after you. They're not like a horrible bug that's going to kill you or anything. So you can just let them eat. It's okay. The tree's done with the leaves. But if you want to, you can use a forked stick or something and just pry out the webbing and then stomp on the worms if you want. Just enjoy killing them, destroying them, squishing them. That's usually the way we recommend. But
an 8-year-old boy would really love that job.
Yeah, especially after the first squish. You just see the guts coming out, then they'll really start hopping on that stuff. They'll go for that.
It's not a job for me, per se, but I can see other people enjoying it.
People do enjoy it, and that's what I call the dirty, hairy Clint Eastwood approach. Like they what, you messing around with my choke cherry? Okay. Well, how do you feel lucky today? Huh? Do you feel lucky?
worm
punk
web. Yuck.
And then you come after it. And, okay, so we talk about 7. 7 will just knock those worms right out of the tree. Instant gratification. They'll fall. They'll have quivers, and they'll just shake around on the ground, and then they'll die right in front of your eyes. It's a very rewarding feeling if you're into that kind of thing. Otherwise, you can use BT. That's a bacteria spray, and the common ones are Dipel and Thuricide. Dipel and Thuricide, they're slower acting. They have to eat the bacteria. So you spray it on the leaves within the nest. They'll eat the leaves, and then they'll die after a couple days from a tummy ache. But that's not really that exciting. But don't go after them with a blowtorch. I see people doing that.
Wouldn't that hurt your tree?
Exactly. It feels good, but your tree hates you. And also, you don't need to prune the branch. Same thing. You just did the same thing that the bugs were doing, but you took out the wood besides the leaves. So don't prune the branch. That's not the way to go. And in the big picture, don't worry about it, especially if it's a mature tree.
Winter will take care of them, right?
You know what? They'll eat. And it's kind of that's like a giant Thanksgiving, and then you get kind of sleepy. They'll just fall to the ground and try to overwinter that way. That's the way most of these larvae. They just eat until they're just totally gigantic, full. They can't eat another bite. Then they just fall down into the dirt.
And they don't freeze to death?
Well, most of them do die because winter here is long. That's right. They don't get dig enough. So that's the end of it. But there's always a few survivors out there, and so they'll be back for next fall. Those are the web worms. So look for them right now. But again, don't worry about them too much. They're not going to cause significant harm, especially to a mature tree.
All right.
Okay.
We're going to take another break, and when we get back, we have some other pests to discuss.
Some critters in the garden.
Critters. All right.
Right now, 75.
Your news leader, weeknights at 6 and 10. Super Talk 1270.
Good morning and welcome back to the Extension Connection. I'm Peggy Netzer here with Tom Cobb and Kelsey Sheldon, and we were talking about pests.
That's right.
Lots of bugs.
Diseases, wasps,
worms,
hornets,
flies.
So what other kind of problems do you want to talk about?
I know that we have been getting a lot of calls about voles. Every year we get a lot of calls about voles.
There you go.
So, Kelsey, what is a vole and why are people concerned?
Voles are also known as like meadow mice or field mice. They're concerned because they don't like them in their yard. They're making tunnels. They don't like them whatsoever. You're exactly right. So sometimes if you have a smaller population, you can simply just trap them with like a mouse trap and stuff like that. But according to people in Bismarck, they are large populations, and they just can't handle them.
Yeah, you know what? I think that just happens as cities grow, right? Because field mice live in fields.
That's
and
right.
if you're putting your house in a field,
exactly.
You're taking their home.
Exactly.
So, hey, deal with it. No, what if they want to get rid of them and they don't want to trap them because there's too many?
There's too many. You have some different options. Some toxins and baits are available. The most effective is called an anti-coagulant, which is a big word, mouthful right there. But the thing to know about that is it is slow acting. It's going to take multiple feedings, and you won't see results between 5 to 15 days it's going to take.
Does it kill other things too, or just voles?
Well, it is a toxin, so
cats,
if they eat it,
squirrels.
You want to make sure to keep them away when you're applying that.
Yeah, so that's tricky if you live in town. You don't really want to put that out and have your neighbor's cat come in your yard and then you get sued because you killed their cat. Right?
That's right.
Or you just feel bad because you killed their cat at least.
And then what do you do?
Get a new cat, maybe?
Or you just go to the cat pound and get a cat that looked like it. Here's your cat. Looks a little different.
So it is toxic to other things. So.
Correct. Yeah. Read the labels.
Yes.
Always read the labels.
Yeah, so make sure
it's a wait it out? Like winter will take care of it like other things?
It does.
That's good.
And the more movement on top of the grass and stuff, it's going to push them away too. But people don't like the waiting process. No way.
So maybe you should get a couple of big dogs and let them run in your yard, and it'll chase the voles away.
Or they'll eat them.
Or they'll eat them.
That's right.
Or that. All right.
Make sure it's a vole, though. That's the thing. A lot of people say, "Oh, there's a mouse out there. There's a squirrel out there," because a vole, like Kelsey says, is a meadow mouse. It really looks like a mouse. Okay, so, and it does dig a small hole into like the turf or garden, just maybe an inch or two wide. That's about it. So they're not usually that destructive. Ground squirrels, don't confuse that with ground squirrels. You see a lot of ground squirrels because ground squirrels are very active during the day. They're not shy, and so they can come right up to you, and we'll see them. So don't confuse that with a vole or a gopher, for example. So a common ground squirrel has 13 lines on it. Kind of looks like a big chipmunk with 13 lines on it. And those are ground squirrels, the 13-line ground squirrel, and also flicker tails we can have in this part of the state. Flicker tails are like a tan brown type of color to it, solid. It's a rodent, and they both will make holes about 2 to 4 inches across into the turf, and they can be very destructive in a garden. And they're like a mouse trap won't work. We have to use a rat trap to go get those guys.
Big one.
They can't resist peanut butter. Peanut butter is always a good thing to go after with. And maybe we can trick them by, put some oats near the edges. So they kind of, hide
this. Snickers bar and cut it up. Little pieces of Snickers bar.
A Snickers bar. There you go.
It's funny to me, or maybe not funny, but interesting that we're talking about how to kill a flicker tail, because isn't that like a state animal or something?
That's right. So what are you trying to say?
Are you allowed to kill them?
Of course.
Okay, just checking before we get ourselves in trouble here.
Okay, tolerance is a beautiful thing. Yeah. But like if the
more grass they eat, the less you have to mow.
I got a ground squirrel in my yard. I got a few of them, and we give them a name, and we just deal with it. It's okay. We don't. But if
throw out some oats for them every once in a while.
We don't feed it, but it gets enough food in our garden, and it's okay with it. But now, if some people are less tolerant, and so you go after it if you need to.
Need a rat trap.
Now, there's other options. You can just flood them out. Our Native Americans, we've had ground squirrels forever. Native Americans would just flood them out.
Put a hose in it.
Put a hose in there if you want to, and that will destroy their burrow, and you just make life miserable for them, so that they say, "Hey,
move to your neighbor's
let's go to the neighbor. This is just way too much stress." So yeah, exactly. So you can flood them out, and trapping. There are poison baits that can be used, and but. Be on the lookout. Kind of make sure you identify your enemy. That's the important thing. And a little
that's the key message for today, isn't it?
I think
know your enemy.
That's right. That's right.
Know what you're up against.
You got it. You got it. Here's something that's so tiny and minuscule. I'll tell you about a hot new pest that's going on right now in North Dakota.
Hot new pest.
It's the SWD. The spotted wing Drosophila.
Oh, I know what Drosophila is.
What is that?
It's a fruit fly.
Exactly. You got it, man.
All those years in biology classes just came back to me.
There you go. That's right. All that genetics, right?
Genetics studies.
But this is a different type of fruit fly, Peggy.
A mean one?
It's different because, mostly fruit flies go after rotting fruit, right?
Your compost.
Yeah, rotting fruit. But the SWD does not wait for your fruit to be rotten.
Fresh stuff?
It will go attack even when it's not ripe yet. So now, like on raspberries and cherries, our growers might have to start spraying, to control this pest. Now the problem, and you may not notice it unless you keep the fruit. You harvest the fruit, the fruit fly lay the eggs. You won't even notice it, so you can just eat it. Just watch TV, keep the lights on dark, keep the lights off, and you can just eat the fruits. No problem. Just extra protein. They're completely edible. Just a minuscule white maggot. Okay, but if you want to control it, you can. You got to use a product like malathion will work. It's got to have a short residual from the time you spray to harvest.
Because flies don't live that long.
Well, it's also, but you got to keep spraying right until like a day or two before harvesting. It's really a problem. It could be a major issue.
Sounds like a lot of work.
First of all, make sure you got your enemy. Find the enemy. You can put out little traps of apple vinegar. So just like some cups of apple vinegar, they can't resist it. The fruit flies can't resist it. They'll go in. It's called the spotted winged Drosophila. The men have spots on their wings. So just go like the hand lens, make sure that's what you got. And then if you got it, then you got to just make your decision what you're going to do about it. But it just goes after primarily soft fruits like raspberries, strawberries, ever-bearing strawberries, for example, and that kind of stuff. So it's a new pest that's emerging right now. So be
Where
on
did
the
this thing
lookout
come from?
I think it came from Asia. But it's, you know what? This thing travels. It has gone all...
If it flew all the way from Asia.
Yeah. So, yeah, it came from Asia. You know, those fruit flies can easily get on... Well, from transported fruit,
Yep,
of
the
course.
plane.
Or on an airplane. And then, but it's gone, I think last year it was already in 36 states, coast to coast. It could be in just about all of them, but people haven't really noticed it yet. But here in North Dakota, we were kind of seeing some white squiggly things in our raspberries, and people were getting concerned. So
that is
we got
something
on top
that would be
of it.
concerning to me. If you went to eat your raspberries and they were full of maggots. Ugh.
Okay, what else? We just got a few minutes here. What else do we want to talk about? Kelsey?
Well, speaking of like going back to the bowls, lawns and stuff, people are wondering, should we be spraying for weeds? Should we be fertilizing right now? Lawns are of concern.
What do you think?
I say wait till we get closer to frost.
Okay.
I know that there are 3 times that you're supposed to do it,
To
right?
do what?
3 times.
To fertilize.
To fertilize
or whatever
the lawn?
you call it. Fertilize and weed spray. Right? In the spring, in like the end of July, beginning of August, and then you wait until like the end of September, right?
Okay, yeah. You know, there's no right or wrong because
Best practices.
it all depends on your...
Depends on your grass.
Tolerance.
Depends what you want.
Tolerance,
If you want to have like the best
I
lawn in the
got a lot
neighborhood,
of tolerance at my house.
or you just say, okay, I want something that covers the dirt, that I don't have to mow that often. So, but yeah, the best time to fertilize is in the fall, like you say, Kelsey.
Yep. And seed, right?
Same with seed. Right now, we got because we got that seed's got to get established before winter comes. So we've got from now until mid-September. After that, you just gotta kind of just
wait till the spring.
Yeah, kind of. Or there is dormant seeding in November, but nothing's going to germinate and get established unless it's in by mid-September. So now is the time to put down the seed, but let's hold off. Many of our lawns, especially our low maintenance lawns, are still kind of yellowish. They're not hungry yet. Let's hold off on fertilizing them right now. And but fall in general is a great time. Come September. Best time to dethatch, best time to aerate, best time to fertilize, and put that seed down.
People
early.
can take a
best
break
time
for
to
another
kill
month.
weeds. Also,
Perfecto.
mid to late September. Do not spray for weeds now because that puts our turf under a little bit of stress. Let's just wait. We'll get a better kill if we wait till the end of September.
All right, take a month off.
There you go.
That's it for our show.
All right, sounds good.
We'll be back in 2 weeks.
Sounds good. Thank you.
You've been listening to Extension Connection on Super Talk 1270. News and information from NDSU Extension Service and representatives of Morton and Burleigh County Extension offices. Tell your friends to listen in for the next Extension Connection, exclusively here on Super Talk 1270.
ABC News, Super Talk 1270.